How have you accomplished so much if these games literally consumed your life? Genuinely curious. It seems amazing to me. I have no idea. I actually started. So the answer is, actually, it's a great question. And you said you're genuinely curious, so I'll answer it like seriously. DEF CON command is a good suggestion. What should we? Okay, but what I need is I need like a graphic written up for my DEF CON stuff. And then yeah, we need to do a command for it. I'll post on Twitter today to look for someone to do a graphic for me. So I started being successful really late in life. Like my early life was really bad. I basically just played games like 20 hours a day and did nothing and didn't talk to anybody. It was super antisocial. The reason why I became the person that I am is because I started reading self-development books during loading times or like during downtime in EVE and during loading times in like EverQuest and Dark Age of Camelot and stuff. When we were like waiting for like Realm Wars and stuff, I would just read self-improvement books because like a small part of me knew that I needed to do something. And so like I started with all like the really like classic stuff, like How to Win Friends and like Influence People and like Tony Robbins books and Wayne Dyer books and all that stuff. And then I kept reading them until I like realized that I had read like over 700 books like at that point. And I was like, wow, I actually know a lot of stuff about like business and self-improvement. I should like do something. And so I like that was when I started a few companies and like I started selling products and stuff like that. Like I don't know. I just grew myself to the point where I knew I could do stuff, but I started like really late in life. Like all my accomplishments come in like my late 20s, right? So and before that I was just playing games constantly. It's crazy the education you can get from books and now the web. Yeah, I mean, I literally learned how to be a C-level marketer from just taking courses on marketing. Game and Air is like super, right? Well, I had been involved in selling companies from an early age. My first company that I worked on it wasn't really a company. It was I sold a lot of people in the old chat, a lot of people in my chat know this. I sold these like kind of shitty ebooks. So like if you have these like this old web copy that's like this is like previous clickbait. I have to find it. Here you go. I would do stuff like this. And I would have like the big red letters that were like, these things. How a juvenile misfit who got kicked out of school became a millionaire by age 26 and earned $549,079. And like this, if you know anything about copy, like, oh God, all this stuff is targeted, right? This exact number is targeted because they don't want to give you 549,000. They want to give you a specific number because they want you to believe the number, even though the number isn't true. They want you to believe the number and 40 cents, right? Because it sounds much more authentic than $550,000. Millionaire by age 26 and highlighted very intentional, right? They A/B tested that to make sure that this was like that this is like the right thing to say. Age 26 is specifically chosen number. They show like an example of the check. This is the stuff I wrote all the time. So when I started in like day one of like Google AdWords where I would pay doctors like $500 to write a page or two in my medical book. So what I would do is I'd write like a 40 to 50 page book and I would go to the library and I would research something about like one of my big ones was like knee pain. I did one on bronchitis too. So like for bronchitis, for example, I found out that there was this remedy called silver chloride that you could use to get rid of bronchitis and it worked for a lot of people and a doctor backed it up. So I had the doctor write 2 pages in my 50-page book and then I gave a bunch of cures for chronic bronchitis. Then I put it up on a 1-page website and I offered the book as a digital download for $20. I put the doctor's picture on top of it because the deal was the doctor would get 1% of or 2% of every sale of the book. And then he would also get $500 flat, but I'd have to take a picture of him in his white coat because that's authentic, right? You get a doctor in a white coat. And it would say recommended by Dr. whatever. And he would write 2 pages in the book. Then I would write the other 48 pages, which are just like random stuff that I researched from the library. and I would put this up for digital download behind a paywall of like $20, and I'd offer 100% money back guarantee. And then I would run on AdWords, and I would know, okay, well, it cost me X money to acquire a customer, right? Which would be something like anywhere between like $8 to $10. And I'm making $10 off a digital download with no overhead. So I literally just printed money. Every website made like $6,000 to $10,000 a month, and I just sat there and played EverQuest the whole time. And I had like 20 of them. It was great. And then Google was like, you know what? This is shit content. And I was like, wait, no, it's good content. And they're like, no, this isn't helping anybody at all. And then they sent me to the shadow realm when my business died, because Google basically like decided that kind of content shouldn't be served to their customers, because it was just like baiting people into buying shit. And now you have to have good content, I guess, to go on Google. Blah blah blah. So that was my first business, and I was playing games through that. I didn't do anything for a while after that, but I learned so much about marketing from that, because I was making so much money, right? And I was balling, dude. I was in this is like my first year in college, so like I was a business student. All these other business students are coming. They're like, "What is entrepreneurship?" Like, I'm rolling in like $50,000 a month, like just like killing everything. And then like I was like just balling super hard and just doing whatever. And then I was like, damn, I know a lot about marketing. So I was investing a lot of money back into marketing, because I was so fascinated by Google AdWords, like how it works and things like that. So I spent like $25,000, or it was like $25,000 on like stuff like Dan Kennedy courses, Jay Abram courses, mentorship from those guys, stuff like that. And did like one-on-one sessions and stuff like that. And that's how I learned everything about marketing that I know. And then once I did that, I started a marketing company, and I did like print and digital marketing for people, but that was lower margin than just building product. So I sold that, and then I got into doing IT services and just outsourcing it. This is more because I was lazy than anything. I was like doing like IT services and stuff for people, like fixing computers for grandmas and stuff. I needed to do something, and I was hiring people to do that. And then and then I started streaming, because I realized that I had come that far as like a gamer that had played so many games, but like I could do it. And I knew that I was just like, I wasn't special. Like I was exactly the same as like everybody else that's like playing games for like 16 hours a day. So I started to stream originally because I wanted to talk to people about how to just be a gamer, but also be successful. And then I did that. And then the rest is history. You know, I joined esports and blah, blah, blah. So Dignitas, CLG, yeah. Yeah. Lots of fun. Most of the projects I do now and the projects that I've done for the last like 5 years have just been passion projects. I like streaming is literally the worst ROI I can possibly do with some of my knowledge. And I know it sounds like really pretentious, but it seriously is. I make no money streaming. It's like people barely sub, don't donate, stuff like that. It's fine, like totally okay. But there's just no ROI in streaming for the amount of time it takes. Last week I streamed 36 hours. So basically a full-time job, and I probably made like not a lot, versus in 36 hours I could set up like 2 Kindle ebooks and I could make like $2,000 a month passively, no problem, off both of those. Or a Udemy course. I mean, any number of things. So it's not about making money, it's about sending a message. The thing is that not many people like, I could also make a ton of money on Twitch if I catered to like I was doing that for a little while just to see what would happen. I got a bunch of like top clips on Livestream Fail and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, I get it. Like I can be train wrecks. This is something I can do. And I'm like, do I want to do that? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So I'll just be like who I am. And then that appeals to a certain small percentage of people who like talks like this and stuff like that. And then people, like most people won't watch it. People that do will get a lot out of it. That's fine. For the gaming world, how do you feel like, how can direct response be applied? Do you still think it's viable if tweaked? Yeah. God, I think about this so much. Such a great question. It has to be, right? Because if you know anything about marketing, I know you do, direct response is just human psychology. It just works, right? Because that's how people are set up. So direct response has to work. I just don't know how. It has to. One way that I know that direct response can work is through email campaigns. Yeah. So when we're talking about direct response, what we're talking about stuff like this, where it's like you put something in like a newspaper, and then you say, send me a message or do a call to action in some way to get the user engaged. The way that you see this a lot is like if you go to like really famous marketers, you'll see there'll be like an opt-in, like start the quiz, right? This is a direct response. Do you know your earning potential? Like you can start the quiz to find out. And you can go like here, and there'll be a call to action like every one of these pages where you can sign up for courses, get the inside scoop, get started today, get on the email list, some kind of call to action there. This is one of the best copywriters in the world. He might be the best copywriter in the world. I think he is. So yeah, I think there definitely is a way to incorporate it. The way that I've successfully incorporated it is email lists. I think email is still the third or second most powerful form of marketing in the world. What do you think some of the most important habits are to build outside of working out, meditating, and reading? The only thing I would add to that list, and that's an incredible list, is I would become very aware of how you spend your time. So I actually am super. I want to use a certain word, but I'm very dedicated is the word I'll use. So I was going to use a gamer word to say this, but I'm very dedicated. Did I get a text from? Just a sec, sorry. Hang on. Okay. Yeah, I'm very dedicated to keeping track of my time. So I actually keep track of every single hour that I spend doing anything. So this will blow your mind, right? Like I don't recommend doing this, but like for the week of 2/11 to 2/18, I spent 4 hours in complete dead time just staring into space, 46 hours sleeping, 19 hours gaming, 36 hours streaming, 12 hours of dedicated time with my girlfriend. 7 hours of dedicated time working on like productive creative measures, 7 hours of exercise, and 10 hours of dinner eating, for example. So like, and I know that like every week, but that's like really crazy, right? You don't have to do that. Like all you need to do is you have to write down in your day what you accomplished or what you want to accomplish. Like at the end, I'd have like a daily review, a journal. I would journal. That's what I would do. Why do the Chinese wrench the tea? Yeah. It helps awaken the tea leaves. Yeah, that was what I thought too. Yeah, so you wake up the tea leaves, man. That's why you rinse tea. Makes sense. So if you want to start getting serious about success, you have to take your time more seriously than anything else, right? You have to take your time more seriously than how much money you make for sure. The whole idea of exchanging time for money is booty, dude. You want to get out of that as fast as possible. It's a really bad model. It's a bad pipeline, right? If you're making $20 per hour, or even if you're making $100 per hour, or in my case, like in consulting, I can consult for $500 an hour, right? There's plenty of people that'd be really happy to pay me that, and I just forget to respond to their emails or whatever. And that's still a bad trade because the leverage that you can get if you build a system is potentially infinite, right? So you always have to think in terms of like your time is like your most important resource, and your time to like money ratio is something you should be aware of. So like what your time is worth. My time is worth a lot less than I was at CLG, for example, right? So when I was a CEO at CLG, I ran a 105-person company. The company was worth $35 million. So you can imagine what an hour of my time is worth. It's worth a lot, right? An hour of my time, if I spend that going spaghetti over like dealing with some issue that I shouldn't be dealing with, or just staring into space, is bad. That's a loss of company revenue and my revenue and equity by extension of that. And you have to look at your entire life in that prospect. Because if your time is only worth like $10 an hour, well, then you should probably be doing things to improve that ratio, right? Either by learning new skills or training yourself or looking for better jobs, whatever you can do. If your time is worth too much and it's worth like $200 to $500 an hour, or even more than that, or like $5,000 an hour or whatever, well, then you have to start looking into like, how is my extraneous time being spent, which is like, that's the stage I'm in, right? Is like, how much time am I spending on things that just don't make sense for me to do because there's not a realistic ROI in doing so. Does that make sense? Is college a meme? No. College is great. But like when I look at most people making mistakes in terms of their life success, it's because their time management is bad. Like the average person spends like 5 or 6 hours on social media, a bunch of hours watching Netflix or TV or things like that, a bunch more hours watching YouTube. And like before you know it, like there's like 24 hours in a day is a lot. It's actually an incredible amount, even with 8 hours of sleep. You can get so much done if you want to in that amount of time. In 16 hours, it's ridiculous what you can get done. It's like crazy. That's why there are human beings that are like so crazy effective, like Richard Branson, that run 120 companies, because they understand delegation, one, but two, they're just very effective with their time. And they still have time to like go on vacations and chill out and do whatever the hell they want. It's just that they're very conscious of how they spend their time. I'm going to college right now. What's the best thing to do for money when I can get a good ROI? I mean, you should be able to do something. You should have a really good strength by the time you graduate college, right? You should be able to point to something and be like, I can do that, and I can do that better than most people. So to quote Peter Drucker, is like a really famous guy on like management thinking, you should focus less on making money and instead focus more on trying to be useful. So the question you should be able to answer when you get out of college is, how can I be useful to someone else? And I don't care what your degree is. Like your degree could be in baloney, or it could be in, like research. It could be science, could be STEM. It could be like jacking off animals, like whatever you want to do. But like, how do I be useful to people? And preferably, how do I be useful in a way that not other people can duplicate? And that's going to define your value, right? Because society will pay you for what usefulness you bring to the table. And if you don't bring value, then you won't get far, right? This has to do with what I value. I'll try to become a researcher, which I know is the best decision money ROI-wise, but will definitely make me the most happy. Happiness is kind of a meme, dude. I mean, I guess I'll cry in the back of my Lexus, etc. But like, there's so much research that shows that like a certain level of financial stability predicates happiness, if not is dependent on it. So like, I think this whole meme of like, well, I'm happy, like maybe there's like, but I think it's an exception to the rule. You should be able to do something that's useful that provides a base level of financial success for yourself. Like, and I'm not talking about making like $300K a year or $500K a year. Yeah, that like doesn't matter. But the general accepted number is 74,000, right? Is like the number where after that there's not much more of an increase in happiness. But I'd say like anywhere between like the 50 to 70 range you want to land at. I don't see many people that are like, I love my fucking life, that are making like 5K a year. I just don't. And the statistics reflect this. But yeah, you don't have to like turn that around and make like making $5 million a year is not going to make you any happier. If anything, it will probably make you less happy because it's going to be so much more stress, which is why I've opted to not be a CEO again, right? That's why I'm a CMO here and not a CEO somewhere else. Because the amount of stress is just like way high for the ROI. And that's just a personal evaluation you have to make. Some people want to be massive CEOs and stuff like that, and that's cool. There's a certain amount of prestige and like cool factor that comes with that too, right?